Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing a highly suggested video between Bernie Sanders, who is the senator from the state of Vermont, the independent senator who's currently one of the most popular politicians in the country, and we're going to compare that to Lawrence Zupan. He was the opponent, the Republican opponent in the Vermont Senate race. This was suggested by one or two people, so I am going to be doing this video. So, it's probably kind of obvious who's going to win. Lawrence Zupan doesn't really have name recognition. He would not win the Republican primary because, of course, Donald Trump would likely win that. If Donald Trump didn't win that, someone like a John Kasich, a Ted Cruz, people like that would more likely win that than this Republican candidate, who's really not well known outside of his home state, and even in his home state, he's not really that well known. So I think that this would pretty much be a cakewalk for Bernie Sanders in the general election. If we go over the safe states, there is going to be a slew of safe states because people, they just don't know who this guy is. If all of these states would be safe for Bernie Sanders. Alaska I'll come back to, but Illinois, Minnesota, I would classify as safe. The whole Rust Belt is now becoming safe. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia. Virginia is now moving into the safe column. New York, his home state of Vermont. All of Maine, I would classify to go to the Democrats. That second district is going to be likely Democrat. I'm coming right back to that. New Hampshire would be safe for the Democrats. Now, this map looks really, really weird, and I know it looks so weird. However, because of Zupan's lack of name recognition, he would not do very well in a general election, but especially in a primary, he would not do well. A bit like Richard Ojeda, he would perform fantastic in the general election, but his problem is going to be getting through the primary, given how he voted for Trump, and he's not really that well known, I guess you could say. So these are kind of toss-up states, right? Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, still many of these states not gonna vote. I mean, the general gist of things. I'm kind of being a bit generous to Zupan, given that he really has no name recognition. No one in the country knows him. I mean, it's really not really. He's not a terrible candidate for the Republicans to run. Alaska would be a bit of a fast stretch to call that one for Bernie Sanders. I'm putting it in the leaning Republican column, but Arizona, I think that could go to Bernie Sanders given Zupan's lack of name recognition. Montana, again, a bit of a fast stretch. I'm putting it in the leaning Republican column. North Dakota, again, quite a fast stretch to call that one for Sanders, even though he does very well in Montana, North Dakota, Alaska in the primaries. Nebraska, 2nd District, that would go to Bernie Sanders. Same thing in the state of Maine. I see both of those going towards the Democratic candidate. Texas, I actually see that one narrowly going towards Bernie Sanders. Lawrence Zupan is just a terrible candidate for the Republicans to run. Florida, cakewalk for Bernie Sanders. Indiana, I'm a bit torn on this one, but I'll leave that one as a toss-up. But Ohio, that would go to Bernie Sanders. Same thing with the state of Iowa. Both these states, Lawrence Zupan cannot appeal to the white working class voters here. Missouri and Indiana, those, I'm not sure about those. South Carolina would be a bit of a stretch to call that one for Bernie Sanders. I'm putting that in the leaning Republican column. But North Carolina, Georgia, I definitely see both of those going towards Bernie Sanders. And then Indiana, Missouri, I don't know. I think that would probably be like a pure toss-up state if I can get it in. There we go. Okay, so it looks very, very weird. This is pretty much a scenario where all of the states that are relatively swinging-ish go towards Bernie Sanders, and I actually do think that this could be the final map. However, there is one thing though. Bernie, if Lawrence Zupan, if he can get name recognition, and if he's a normal Republican candidate, I see some states moving in his direction, right? I still don't think he's anywhere near going to win the general election, but Alaska would move into likely, Montana would move into likely, North Dakota would be safe, Missouri and Indiana would move in his way, South Carolina moves towards the Republicans, Texas would become a pure toss-up, Arizona would move towards the Republicans, but not going into their column. Florida, I think it would still be leaning Democratic. But this is if Lawrence Zupan is able to get a bit more name recognition than he currently has. If he does get the same amount of name recognition very fast, I could see him carrying states like Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, North Carolina, and Texas. But at this point in time, if he gets a moderate amount of name recognition, hang on, Virginia would be safe, there we go. If he does get a moderate amount of name recognition, it wouldn't be this overwhelming blowout like the 412 or something, but it still would be a very convincing win for Senator Sanders. So this is the final map, and I just wanted to go over one thing. Even if Zupan gets the prize of Texas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, he's still not there. He still needs some more electoral votes. But he can't appeal to the Rust Belt. He can't appeal to any voters out in the West. So where is this? But at this point in time, I see Sanders pretty much sweeping the toss-up states, given Zupan's poor candidate, given he is a poor candidate for the Republicans to run, and he wouldn't get through the primary, but someone suggested it, so I thought it might just be a fun idea to do. So that's pretty much it. I kind of get this to work. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.